Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into, well, it's probably one of the biggest jumps anyone makes, right?
Absolutely. That leap from high school
From that structured, supportive environment.
into the messy, complicated world of adult life. It's huge.
And for students with disabilities, it's not automatic. It needs a plan, a really specific, coordinated plan.
Right.
Actually, it's federally mandated.
That's right.
So our subject is transition planning. Think of it like the blueprint, custom designed to help these students succeed. Not just vaguely succeed, but measurable success.
Right. In three really key areas.
Employment, getting a job they find fulfilling. Post-secondary education, whether that's college or vocational training. And maybe the biggest one.
Independent living. Really achieving that autonomy.
Yeah, true independence.
And what we're digging into today isn't just the definition. We're looking at the strategies. This whole process, it stems from the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA.
So this isn't optional guidance.
Not at all. It's required, it's a legal process, and it's supposed to be focused on results. You know, the real tension we see again and again in the source material is that balance.
Balance between what?
Between the support the student obviously needs from school, from family, and their fundamental need to make their own choices, take their own risks, learn for themselves.
Gotcha. So our mission here is pretty straightforward. We want to give you the practical tools, the knowledge you need to actually use this system effectively.
Moving from just hoping for the best
To actually achieving real, measurable success after high school.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's dive right in. Where does this whole formal planning thing actually start? What's the timeline, and who absolutely needs to be part of that conversation?
Okay, the official starting point, according to IDEA, is age 16.
16.
Yes. The IEP team, the Individualized Education Program team, they have to start coordinating transition planning by the time the student turns 16. Now, states or the team can start earlier. And frankly,
Earlier is probably better.
in most cases, yeah. If you wait right until 16, you might have missed some key opportunities. But 16 is the legal line in the sand for it to be formally in the IEP.
That age, it makes a certain kind of sense, doesn't it? I mean, at 16, you're usually looking at those last couple of years of high school.
Right.
And the classes you take then, they really matter for college eligibility or getting ready for a trade.
It forces the issue. It builds in that accountability.
And accountability starts with the team itself.
Yeah.
You mentioned the IEP team. Who's on it for these transition meetings?
Well, the source material is really clear on this. The student must be invited.
The students themselves.
Absolutely. Has
Yeah.
to be. I mean, it's their future, right? Their input isn't just nice to have, it's essential. They should be there alongside their parents.
Okay.
And this is important. Representatives from any outside agencies that might be involved after graduation should also be invited. Think vocational rehab, community living supports.
So you're planning with the future support system, not just handing the student off later.
Ideally, yes. That coordination starts early.
Okay, so the meetings happen, the team is there, the outcome is this plan, this blueprint. It has to cover employment, education, and independent living goals. And you said they have to be measurable.
Yes. Measurable.
Let's push on that. Employment and education seem maybe easier to measure. Like, did they enroll in college? Did they get the job?
They can be more straightforward, yes.
But independent living, that feels fuzzier. How do you make that measurable without just turning it into a checklist of chores?
That's definitely a challenge because independent living is so broad, isn't it? Cooking, cleaning, managing money, building relationships, making healthcare choices.
Right, so a goal like be more independent.
Totally useless.
Yeah.
A measurable goal has got to be precise. You need to be able to see objectively whether it's been met or not.
Okay, give me an example. How would you make an employment goal measurable?
Easy one. Within 6 months of graduation, students' name will enroll in one post-secondary vocational training program focused on HVAC repair. See? Concrete. Verifiable.
Got it. Now, tackle independent living. Make that measurable.
Okay, let's say the underlying need is cooking skills. A measurable goal might be: by May of this school year, students' name will independently plan, shop for ingredients for, and successfully cook 3 different specified dinner meals using a stove and oven with no more than 1 verbal prompt per meal, as documented by the life skills teacher weekly.
Ah, okay. That's specific. You can observe it. You can track it. It's not just learn to cook.
Exactly. It breaks down the bigger skill into something you can actually teach and assess.
And all these goals, regardless of the area, they can't just be pulled out of thin air. They have to be based on, what was the term? Age-appropriate transition assessments.
Correct. You got it. The plan isn't based on what the parents wish for or what the teacher thinks is best necessarily. It starts with the student.
How so?
These assessments look at the student's actual strengths right now, their documented interests. What do they want to do? Their preferences and also their needs. What skills are lacking?
So it's tailored.
It has to be. That's the whole point. If a student is passionate about animals, you don't write goals about auto mechanics unless there's some connection they see. The assessment drives the personalization, which hopefully drives the student's motivation too.
Okay, makes sense. So you've got the measurable goals based on assessments. Then the plan outlines the transition services. These are the actual activities, right? The things the school and others will do.
Yes, these are the action items. The services designed to help the student reach those post-secondary goals.
And the description says they need to be coordinated, tailored, and results-oriented. Let's unpack coordinated. What happens if the services aren't coordinated? What's the real-world impact of working in silos?
Oh, the impact can be huge. It can basically undermine the whole effort. Imagine this. A student's goal is to get a competitive job in the community.
Okay.
The school provides great vocational training, maybe even job coaching. That's results-oriented, right? They're
Yeah.
teaching job skills. But nobody coordinates with the local transit authority to teach the student how to actually get to the potential job site using the bus. Or maybe no one connects with VOC Rehab to figure out funding for the bus pass once they graduate.
So the student has the skills, but literally can't get to the job.
Exactly. All that great job training becomes useless because the transportation piece wasn't coordinated. The services have to work together.
Like you said, adult life isn't divided into neat little boxes.
Precisely. If a student needs reliable transportation, learning that skill helps with employment, yes, but also with getting groceries, going to the doctor, seeing friends. It supports multiple goals. Coordination means seeing the whole picture.
Okay, that's a really clear illustration. Let's make the final connection in this blueprint section. How do the big overall post-secondary goals, the things they want to achieve after high school, connect to the yearly IEP goals they work on while they're still in school?
Great question. This is how you ensure readiness. The post-secondary goal is the destination, what happens after graduation. The annual IEP goals are the steps on the map, the specific skills and benchmarks they need to hit before they graduate.
So they build towards the bigger goal.
Exactly. Let's use that community college example again. Post-secondary goal. Enroll in business courses at the local community college.
Okay.
The IEP goals for, say, their senior year wouldn't just be pass English. They'd be things like, by December, the student will accurately summarize the published admissions requirements for 3 local community colleges. Or, by March, the student will independently complete and submit a practice online college application with 100% accuracy.
I see. So the IEP goals are practicing the actual skills needed for the post-secondary environment. Not just academic skills, but like navigating the system skills.
Yes, those adaptive life skills, functional skills, planning, meeting deadlines, understanding bureaucratic processes. Those are the things the IEP goals need to target to prove readiness for that big post-secondary jump.
All right, we've got the legal framework, the IDA requirements. Now let's shift gears and look at how we actually build readiness for employment and further education. This part's really interesting because it treats career development not as a single event, but as a process.
Yeah, a progressive process. It's broken down in the source material into 4 overlapping stages. And the key is that the activities need to change based on the student's age and developmental level.
You can't just drop job applications on a freshman.
Exactly. Trying to cram everything into senior year is just, well, it rarely works. You need that foundation.
Okay, let's walk through the stages. Stage 1, career awareness. This sounds like it starts pretty early. What's the goal here for younger students?
The goal is really fundamental. First, just understanding why people work, the purpose of work in society. And second, realizing there are tons of different jobs out there.
Just opening their eyes to possibility.
Exactly. And also starting some basic self-reflection. What am I good at? What kinds of things do I like doing? The activities are broad, exploratory. Think field trips.
Like visiting a bakery or a fire station.
Perfect examples. Seeing people actually doing their jobs, maybe having professionals come into the classroom to talk about what they do. It's also about introducing those basic work values, cooperation, being on time, responsibility, less about hard skills, more about the concepts.
Building that mental framework for work? Okay. Then things ramp up in stage 2, career exploration. Students are getting older now.
Right, so we move from just awareness to seeking more detailed knowledge.
Mhm.
What does a specific job actually involve day to day? How much education or training does it need? What's its social importance? How do different jobs connect?
Like how the delivery driver depends on the mechanic who fixed the truck.
Exactly, that kind of interconnectedness. Activities here get a bit more structured. You might see students reading biographies of people in different fields or doing projects with work-related themes. This is also where you might start introducing more formal vocational assessments.
Like interest inventories
Mm-hmm.
or aptitude tests.
Yes, things to help the student connect their own strengths and interests to potential career paths. They're starting to form hypotheses about where they might fit in the world of work.
Okay, testing the waters. Now, stage 3, career preparation. This feels like it's getting serious. It's happening closer to graduation.
Definitely. Usually, those last couple of years of high school, the stakes are higher because decisions need to be made.
Decisions like,
Like, am I aiming for a job right after graduation? Or am I applying to college? Or a specific trade school program? The focus shifts to gathering really detailed information about specific opportunities and figuring out the concrete steps to get there.
so what makes this preparation different from just exploration? What are the key activities?
Preparation needs more direct, authentic engagement. Instead of just reading about jobs, students need chances to actually talk to people doing those jobs, informational interviews, and even better, job shadowing.
Spending real time watching someone work.
Yes. Not just a quick tour. Shadowing for a few hours, maybe even a day or two, gives you a much richer picture of the reality of a job, the good, the bad, the boring parts, than just a field trip.
I can see that. What else happens in preparation?
This is where you get practical skill building. Help with searching for actual job openings, learning how to evaluate an opportunity, pay, benefits, work environment, and definitely specific instruction on interview skills.
Like how to shake hands, answer common questions, dress appropriately.
All of that. Practicing those skills is crucial during this stage.
Okay. And that leads us to the final stage, stage 4. Career placement. This sounds like it happens after graduation or right around that time.
Yes, this is about actively helping the student get a job. It often involves direct support from the team, maybe school staff who are still involved, the IUP team members, and definitely those community agencies like VOC Rehab.
So the support doesn't just stop at the graduation ceremony.
Ideally, no. And the source material stresses that follow-up is really important. A student might get a job, but then find their interests change, or they need more training, or the job itself evolves.
So placement isn't a one-and-done thing.
Not usually. It's often an ongoing support phase, helping them navigate those early career challenges and adjustments.
Okay, we've got the plan structure from IDA, and we have this pathway for career development. But none of that works if the student isn't equipped internally, right? Let's shift focus to independent living and talk about what seems like the absolute bedrock, self-determination.
You nailed it. Self-determination is, well, it's everything. It's the core ability to make choices for yourself, to act on those choices, and basically run your own life.
Without it, other skills are just actions someone told you to do.
Pretty much. You can teach someone to cook, but if they aren't choosing what to cook or when to cook based on their own preferences and needs, is it truly independent cooking? Self-determination is the driver.
Okay, so what defines someone who is self-determined? What are the key abilities?
The source points to 3 core things. First, being able to set your own goals. What do I want to achieve?
Okay.
Second, being able to choose the actions needed to reach those goals. How will I get there?
Makes sense.
And third, being able to monitor your own progress towards those goals. And importantly, make adjustments if things aren't working out. If plan A fails, what's plan B?
And you see this everywhere in daily life, don't you?
Absolutely. Choosing what groceries to buy, deciding how to spend your entertainment budget, picking which doctor to go to, even deciding who you want to be friends with or whether you need help with a task at work. If the student isn't making those kinds of choices,
Then they aren't really in the driver's seat.
Exactly.
But the source mentioned this tension, right? For parents, for teachers, it's natural to want to protect students, especially students with disabilities, from making bad choices or failing. How do you foster self-determination when that protective instinct is so strong?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's maybe the hardest part for supporters. The strategies involve, first, maintaining high expectations, believing the student can make choices.
Okay.
Teaching actual planning skills helps. Giving them information about their options you can't choose if you don't know what's available. But the big one,
The one that takes courage.
allowing for mistakes. allowing for negative consequences, within safe boundaries, of course.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say a student budgets their monthly spending money, but they spend it all in the first 2 weeks on something impulsive. The temptation is to bail them out.
Right, give them more money.
But allowing them to experience the natural consequence, having no spending money for the next 2 weeks, teaches a powerful lesson about planning and impulse control that no lecture ever could. Shielding them from every bump in the road actually hinders their learning.
Wow. Okay. Framing mistakes as learning opportunities, not failures. That's key. Now, closely related to self-determination is self-advocacy. How is that different?
Think of self-advocacy as the outward expression of self-determination. It's the ability to speak up for yourself, to assert your needs, and to get the help or accommodations you require.
Why is this particularly crucial?
Because once students leave the relatively structured school system, the world isn't always set up to automatically meet their needs. They need to be able to ask for what they need, whether it's help finding something in a store or requesting specific disability accommodations in college or at work.
And are there specific challenges that make self-advocacy even more important for students with disabilities?
Yes, the source points out a few systemic things. Sometimes, sadly, parents or even professionals might have low expectations, which can subtly discourage students from speaking up. They might lack role models, successful adults with similar disabilities who they see advocating for themselves, and sometimes even well-meaning people they encounter, like a new boss or a college advisor, might not fully understand disability rights laws like the ADA or Section 504.
So the student needs to be their own best advocate.
Often, yes. Knowing their rights and being able to clearly communicate their needs acts as a safeguard. It empowers them to get what they're entitled to, even if the environment isn't perfectly supportive.
So how do you teach that? It sounds like part assertiveness training, part legal education.
It's a bit of both. You encourage them to practice communicating their needs and ideas clearly. You provide direct instruction on their legal rights and responsibilities related to their disability. Knowledge is power here.
Right.
And you create opportunities for them to take on leadership roles, maybe in school clubs or activities where they can practice speaking up and representing their own interests or the interests of a group in a safe space.
Okay, let's get down to the how-to of teaching. Teaching adaptive life skills. We're talking cooking, cleaning, money management, transportation, personal care, the practical stuff. Since these are all about doing, how should they be taught?
Yeah, you can't learn to cook from a worksheet. These skills demand active, hands-on learning. The source highlights 4 key methods.
Okay, what's the first?
Modeling. Learning by watching. The teacher or mentor demonstrates the skill, whether it's a physical action like making a bed or a verbal skill like how to politely ask for clarification. And crucially, modeling is usually paired with practice. See it, then do it.
Makes sense. What's next?
Hands-on instruction. This is the core of it. Students have to actively do the task, not just hear about it. Learning to use a washing machine means actually loading it, adding detergent, choosing the cycle, making mistakes, getting feedback, trying again.
Okay, modeling and hands-on. What else?
Third, and this is vital for making it feel relevant, authentic activities. The tasks should be as close as possible to real life.
So instead of fake money in math class,
You're working with a real simulated budget, maybe using actual grocery flyers to plan meals, or practicing filling out a real job application form, not a simplified worksheet. It needs to feel meaningful.
and that connects directly to the fourth method, which you said is the gold standard.
Yes, community-based instruction, or CBI. This is non-negotiable for mastering skills needed outside the school walls.
And CBI is not just a field trip.
Definitely not. A field trip is usually a one-off exposure. CBI is repeated, planned instruction happening in the actual place where the skill will be used.
Right.
Like learning to navigate the public bus system means actually riding the bus repeatedly on different routes at different times. Learning grocery shopping means going to the actual supermarket week after week, making a list, finding items, using the checkout. Learning banking means going to the bank.
Because the real world has distractions and unpredictability that a classroom doesn't.
Exactly. The noise, the crowds, the unexpected things that happen, CBI bridges that gap between the controlled school setting and the real community environment. It ensures skills actually transfer.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. And what about social skills? Independence isn't just about tasks, it's about interaction.
Great point. For social skills, things like resolving conflicts, understanding different perspectives, communicating effectively, group work, and role play are essential. Group projects require cooperation, negotiation, dealing with disagreements. Role-playing allows students to safely practice tricky social situations like how to handle criticism from a boss, or how to join a conversation, or how to ask for help politely.
Practicing in a safe space before you need it for real.
Exactly.
Now, obviously, every student is different. How do teachers make sure these methods work for everyone? How is instruction differentiated?
Differentiation is key. The teacher has to constantly adapt based on the individual student's strengths and also their specific challenges. Maybe they have issues with memory or attention or physical limitations or controlling
So
impulses.
that the approach changes.
Absolutely. A student with memory challenges might need more visual aids, checklists, more repetition in shorter bursts. A student with impulse control issues might need more structured role-playing focused on stopping and thinking before acting. You start with a lot of support, a lot of scaffolding.
And then gradually remove it as they gain mastery.
That's the goal. You fade the support systematically, always pushing them gently towards greater independence based on their progress.
Okay, we've covered the plan, the skill building, but a recurring theme is that the school can't do this alone, especially after graduation. That support structure fades. We need a network.
Absolutely essential. Transition is a team sport, and the team composition changes over time.
Let's quickly recap the school's role, the foundation they lay.
Right. The school, through the IEP team, provides that initial guidance, exploring vocational paths, helping with college applications if that's the route, offering social skills training, setting up those community experiences, teaching self-advocacy. They're the launch pad.
Providing maximum support initially.
Yes. But then the student graduates, the school structure falls away, they need new anchors in the community. The source really emphasizes the importance of individual people stepping up.
Who are these people? What roles do they play that maybe the school staff couldn't long term?
These are community members who become vital supports. They might be a role model, someone the student looks up to, a mentor, someone they can call for advice, or just to vent, maybe outside of typical 9 to 5 hours.
That accessibility point is interesting.
Yeah, think about that story of Lena in the source material. Her guidance counselor was great, but couldn't be there at 7 p.m. when Lena was upset about something that happened at her new job. That's where a mentor comes in.
Right, a different kind of relationship. What other roles?
They can be an informational resource for navigating new systems, a service provider connection, an advocate in a new setting like college or work, and sometimes a liaison, helping connect the student with different agencies.
That story about Lena really hits home. It shows the need for that ongoing, less formal, more readily available support that a school schedule just can't provide after graduation.
Exactly. It's about building that sustainable, real-world support network. Which brings us to the more formal side of that network, agency support in the community.
Okay, who are the key agency players?
Two main types stand out in the material. First, independent living centers, or ILCs. These are usually nonprofit, non-residential centers run by and for people with disabilities.
Peer-driven.
Yes, they're fantastic resources for peer support, advocacy training, and practical help with independent living skills, finding accessible housing, managing benefits, things like that.
Okay, ILCs for independent living. What about employment?
That's where the Vocational Rehabilitation Agency, or VR, comes in. This is a big one. It's a federal and state-funded agency specifically tasked with helping people with disabilities prepare for, find, and keep jobs.
And the range of services VR offers, using the Florida example in the text, seems incredibly broad. It looks like they can step in almost everywhere the school leaves off for employment.
They really can. It's comprehensive. VR can provide things like career counseling, help writing resumes, funding or support for college or vocational training, direct help finding job openings, job coaching on the job site.
Job coaching even after they're hired.
Yes, ongoing support if needed. They can also help with getting necessary assistive technology and setting up what's called supported employment.
Okay, let's define that. We hear supported employment a lot. What does it actually mean? And what makes a job setting integrated?
Good question. Supported employment aims to get people jobs in integrated settings. That means regular workplaces, alongside coworkers who mostly don't have disabilities, earning competitive wages.
So not a sheltered workshop kind of situation.
Correct. Real jobs, real wages in the community. And the supported part comes from ongoing services provided by employment specialists or job coaches.
How does that work in practice? Is there a specific model?
One well-regarded model mentioned is the Individual Placement and Support Approach, or IPS.
IPS, okay.
With IPS, you often have teams, maybe based at a mental health center or a VR office, working closely with the individual. They don't wait for the person to be job ready. They focus on the person's preferences and strengths first, help them find a job that matches quickly, and then provide intensive training and support right there on the job site.
So, place then train, not train and hope to place eventually.
Exactly. And that support is continuous and flexible. It adapts as the person learns the job or as the job itself changes.
Okay, so we have the goals, the student skills, the support network of people and agencies,
Yeah.
but none of it works efficiently if it's not coordinated.
That coordination piece is absolutely the linchpin. We talked about transportation affecting jobs and grocery shopping. Think about assistive technology. Maybe a student needs specific software to succeed at work.
Right.
The IEP team might identify the need, VR might fund it, the employer needs to allow it, the family might need to help with setup at home. All those pieces have to connect seamlessly and be timed correctly. If one drops the ball, the student can't do the job effectively.
It sounds incredibly complex to manage all these moving parts: school, VR, ILC, family, mentors, the student themselves. How do you make sure everyone is actually working together, pulling in the same direction?
The key mechanism often used is person-centered planning, or PCP.
Person-centered planning.
Yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. The process is centered entirely around the individual student. A team comes together with the student leading the conversation as much as possible to really articulate their vision for the future, their dreams, their goals, but also their fears and support needs.
So the student drives it.
That's the goal. The team then works collaboratively to identify the community resources needed to reach those goals and figures out the specific steps everyone will take. PCP ensures the plan reflects the student's desires and empowers them to take increasing ownership over their life path. It prevents the system from just imposing solutions on the student. Hashtag tag outro.
Wow. Okay, so this deep dive really laid out the whole journey. We started with that legal foundation, IDA, mandating transition planning by 16.
With those crucial measurable goals for employment, education, and independent living.
Right. Then we walked through the 4 stages of career development, from just awareness, building all the way up to placement and that vital ongoing support.
And we hit hard on the internal engine needed for success. That focus on building self-determination, the student's right to choose, and self-advocacy, their ability to make those choices heard.
Plus the practical teaching methods, especially things like community-based instruction, to make sure those adaptive life skills actually work in the real world.
Exactly.
And finally, we saw how critical that network is. The school provides the launch, but then you need those community mentors, the independent living centers, and especially agencies like vocational rehabilitation to provide that sustained, specialized support.
It really is about building a coordinated web of support.
A system designed to take that legal requirement and turn it into a real personalized pathway for each student toward independence.
You know, what's really fascinating when you step back and look at this whole process, it's fundamentally about shifting power.
How do you mean?
Well, it forces parents, teachers, everyone involved to change their role. They have to move from being the primary decision makers, the protectors.
To becoming more like consultants, guides, supporters.
Yeah, precisely. The focus shifts from shielding the student from the complexities of the world to empowering the student to navigate those complexities themselves.
And we talked about how a core strategy for that empowerment is actually allowing students to make choices, even choices that might lead to mistakes or, less than perfect outcomes, because that's where so much learning happens.
That's right. Calculated risks are part of growth.
Which leaves us with a really important question, I think, for anyone listening who supports a young person through this transition, whether you're a parent, a teacher, a mentor, a service provider.
Yeah.
If the ultimate aim is true independence, how do we make sure our support, our help, doesn't accidentally become a barrier? How do we know when we're genuinely empowering them versus just enabling continued dependence?
That's the tightrope walk, isn't it?
It really is. Finding that balance between providing necessary support and truly stepping back to let them lead, that requires constant thought, constant vigilance, long after the formal plan is written.